Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Tifia Debbie. I'm a consultant psychiatrist and a psychologist. I do videos on mental health and self-development education. My goal is to help demystify mental illness and provide you with self-improvement tips that will help you be your best and live your best. On today's video, I'll be talking about 3 techniques to help you beat insomnia. Insomnia is a terminology used for a type of sleep disorder, which is a subjective complaint of having inadequate sleep. Either the person is finding it difficult to fall asleep, or when they fall asleep, they wake up after a short period and they are able to go back to sleep. But in all, the individual says that I am not having enough sleep. In my last video, I gave an overview, a general overview of insomnia. In this particular video, I will focus on 3 techniques to help you beat insomnia. Just before I talk about these 3 techniques that will help you beat insomnia, let's just get out of the way some particular sleep hygiene rules. Number 1, you really want to avoid things like alcohol, things like caffeine, and things like tobacco, that's cigarettes, just before your bedtime. Number 2, as much as exercise is quite good for your sleep, you really don't want to do very rigorous exercise close to your bedtime. You're only permitted to have sex as an exercise. Number 3, you really want the room to be cool, to be quiet, and to be dark. And then number 4, as you need to avoid having heavy meals just before bedtime. Little light snacks is just okay. These are simple rules, simple sleep hygienes. Now we'll talk about the 3 main techniques that will help improve your insomnia. The first technique is called the sleep restriction technique. Now, what you really want to do here is you need to have a conversation with your therapist to help you clearly understand the sleep restriction technique. But in the sleep restriction technique, the focus is to improve something called your sleep efficiency. And the sleep efficiency basically is the time that you actually spend sleeping over the time you spend in bed. So take, for instance, you actually sleep for about 4 hours, but in an attempt to have adequate sleep, you stay in bed for like 6 hours. Now, if you do the math, that's 4 over 6, and that's about 2/3. That's less than 60% of. So your sleep efficiency in that case is that you're having 60% of sleep in terms of your sleep efficiency. Now the goal is to increase that sleep efficiency to about 85 to 90%. How do you do this? So sleep restriction just simply means that between you and your therapist, a time is chosen for you to lay on your bed or stay in your sleep area. Now, let's say, for instance, you take the time 12 o'clock and you only have about 60% of sleep staying in bed for 6 hours. The ideal thing to do is to create a sleep time that will be between the hours of 12 midnight, for example, all the way to about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. That kind of allows your sleep efficiency to be better. Now you restrict the individual to stay in that time. It's a bit difficult because you just want to stay in bed and just hope you catch more sleep. But the goal is stay in bed not too long after don't stay in bed longer than how much sleep you are getting. Now, as that time begins to improve, then you can begin to lengthen the time that you should be in bed. So let's say the individual begins to sleep, so you have 12 to 4:30, and then you begin to sleep till about 4:30. Then your time in bed should then be extended to about 5 to about 6 o'clock, and then your sleep just keeps following suit and catching up with the time that you are supposed to be in bed. So that's the first technique, the sleep restriction. The second technique to help with insomnia is something called the stimulus control technique. Now with this is just observe these following rules. Number 1, only go to bed when you actually feel sleepy, not just necessarily when you feel tired. So you could be tired but not sleepy. Only go to your bed when you feel sleepy. Number 2 is let the bed be associated with sleep and sex. In other words, don't take activities to the bed like maybe walk and all of that. Do your walk somewhere else, but when you sit or you lie down on your bed, it should be because you want to have sex or because you want to literally go to bed. So your brain, it's like a conditioning you are doing to your brain to associate the bed with sex. The third thing is no afternoon naps, no napping. So the idea of stimulus control is to hold yourself back and get busy, when you feel like sleeping during the day. I know someone that has a challenge with sleeping in the first place or insomnia would kind of try to get any nap they can during the day. But the idea of stimulus control is don't sleep during the day. Hold yourself back. Do things that will stop you from sleeping during the day. That way, the homeostasis process, which is tiring yourself and keeping yourself awake, will set in, hopefully, at night. And then the fourth thing is, if you find yourself not being able to go to bed after you lay down on your bed, the thing is, after 20 minutes, or at best 30 minutes, but not usually more than 20 minutes, get up from the bed and go do something that is not too arousing. What do I mean by not too arousing? So don't engage in activities that will keep you wide awake. Rather do soft things, read a book, play soft music, keep the lights still dim and dark. That way it will not be arousing. Or if you can't go somewhere else, maybe you stay in a one-room apartment, just find a chair by your side, sit there and do some of these things. Do some relaxation techniques. So that is what the stimulus control is all about. The third technique is something called the wind down, the wake up, and the regularity technique. This simply just means having a routine or a bed ritual, a wake up and a go to sleep ritual. Now, this could be that just before bedtime, you shut off every stimulating device, every stimulating device that can be interactive. You want to shut it off. I know quite a number of people will say, well, I need those devices to fall asleep, but those devices are stimulating, so you want to shut it off. You may want to have a bath, take a cold beverage. You may want to attend to your grooming at night, and you may want to read a book. You want to play soft music. You want to attend to not very stimulating puzzle. These are all wind down techniques that you could, have, wind down rituals that you could have. Then in terms of your wake up rituals, so that you can help get out of bed when you need to get out of bed, especially if you are combining this technique with other techniques like the sleep restriction technique, is that you may want to put your alarm somewhere really far from you in the same room. That way when your alarm goes off, you have to get up, go across and go shut it out. And that way it kind of reduces your tendency to want to come back to the bed and then sleep. You may want to just not always put your alarm on snooze after it comes on. You really want to just, because you don't want to create that kind of habit. So that's having like a routine. Another thing you may want to do is ask somebody to help you. Ask somebody to wake you up at a certain time. That's you creating a routine. And it's very important that if you are going to do this ritual and do this routine, it's not something you should just practice some days. It should be something that is scheduled every day, even on weekends. So I hope these 3 techniques will be helpful. Sometimes you may need to combine these techniques. You may need to combine the stimulus control method. You may need to combine it with the sleep restriction. You may need to combine it with the wind down, the wake up and regularity technique. And also remember to just practice your general sleep hygiene. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please kindly share it. Let's spread the word about it. And just in case you have not already subscribed, please subscribe. That way you don't get to miss out on any of our subsequent videos. Thank you very much.